Welcome to 5 Minutes of Peace, a time for you to reflect, recharge, and renew. 5 minutes to awaken something within yourself. Created by thepeaceroom.love. Here is today's message for you. Today's book from the Peace Room bookshelf is The Noticer. Sometimes all a person needs is a little perspective, by Andy Andrews. Chapter 6. The pink and purple azalea blooms were so full that they overpowered even the dogwoods and redbud, blocking out any hint of the green leaves that lurked beneath them. 76 springs now, Willow Calloway had watched them bloom. She moved slowly from her front porch through the yard to the road and waited for the traffic to pass. Willow lived on Canal Road, about a mile west of the big curve. Canal Road is formerly known as Highway 180, but only the tourists call it that. As she waited, the old woman thought back to when the road was a simple dirt track. Now she had to stand and endure the fumes and pace of people she hadn't asked to move here. Folks she didn't understand, who were loud and unappreciative of the way things once were. Willow remembered when she and her children would ease out of the house about this time of evening and play by the banks of the canal. They would wave to the men on the barges and make up guessing games about the faraway places to which they were bound. Now the tugs and barges were air-conditioned, and nobody came outside to wave. Still, though, she sat and watched. Willow stepped quickly across the road and moved toward the only bench within sight. It wasn't in a park. There was no light above it, no garbage can beside it, no fish cleaning station or water hose or sign nearby about what was or wasn't permitted. Just a simple bench set beside another just like it. They sat side by side on a tiny dock, no larger than 15 feet square. Her husband had built the dock and benches decades ago. By the time the small structure had been proudly placed on the canal bank, the children had already gone, leaving the house empty except for Willow and Bobby Gray, the man she married when she was 16. Many evenings were spent on one bench or the other, sitting there with a big glass of sweet iced tea between them, watching the slow-moving tide, talking about nothing, just being still and feeling God and loving each other until he died. Willow's oldest, Tommy, lived in Dallas now. He had children and even grandchildren of his own. Ray and Martha, the twins, were in Sarasota with the families they'd raised. Bradford, Willow's baby, was gone. Hard to believe she'd outlive one of her own children, but she had. Brad was only 47 when he died. She still thought of him as her baby. Yes, he was a grown man to some, but to her, he had always been the sweet child who ran barefoot, tripping through the honeysuckle vines, who laughed at silly jokes, but cried at Christmas that one year, so sad for baby Jesus because he had to be born in a barn. She was proud of what she had accomplished, of the life she had led, but her life was over, and it was time to go. That was a fact she had decided months ago, knew it for certain, yet here she was, hanging around like somebody's forgotten holiday wreath, still on the front door in March, but not inclined to take the matter into her own hands. Willow waited. "Oh, excuse me," she said. Willow had not seen the old man sitting on her dock as she approached, and it was her dock. Even the mayor of Orange Beach had said so in a newspaper article one time. Everyone in town knew her husband had built it, and the dock was right across from her house. No car ever stopped there. No one else ever used it. The city mowed around it for her. It was the Willow Calloway dock. She had been so enthralled with the azaleas, never suspected another person might be there, that the old man had taken her quite by surprise. He stood and smiled. "It's a lovely evening," he said. "And the location, extraordinary. A view to match." Then, bowing slightly, he added, Please, Mrs. Calloway, do sit down. I can leave if you wish to be alone, but I would love to join you for a time, if I may. Sir, Willow said, I find myself at a disadvantage, for you obviously know who I am, yet I don't believe I have had the pleasure of being introduced. Thank you for listening, and thank yourself for taking 5 minutes of peace. We are all connected on the path of love, service, and peace for ourselves and others. We're glad to be together with you on this path. And if you would like to know more about the Peace Room and our Reiki treatments, crystal healings, training sessions, and certification workshops, go to www.thepeaceroom.love. Join us here again whenever you need 5 minutes of peace.